Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome back to, this is actually moving the chains. Welcome back to Nuts and Bolts Sports. I am your host, Ashmere. And today we're going to talk about all the exciting games from last weekend, our predictions for the Sweet 16, and just give our insight as to how we think everyone is going to come on top. I am very happy to welcome Edwin and Ty with me. Hey, guys, how are you?
What's going on?
What's up? Nice to be here as well.
Happy Friday. Are you guys excited for tomorrow or what?
Of course.
I am really excited. I just want to see my bracket just progress, seriously.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So I don't know if anyone's very familiar with the two of you, so I wanted both of you to just, give a little background as to who you are. You're both kind of fresh faces with Nuts and Bolts. I think you guys have been on a couple NBA podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you haven't been on an Ashmere podcast, so I would like you to introduce yourself to the team. So let's start with Ty.
All right. What's up, everybody? My name is Ty Reeves, and I am I guess I could say I'm the primary writer for NCAA men's and women's basketball and EPL soccer for Nuts and Bolts Sports. Been here for about 3 months now. I think just about, maybe 2. I'm not sure. And and I go to UConn and journalism, and that's me. And love to get my hot takes about sports and whatnot.
Awesome. UConn. That's sweet. I actually didn't know that. All right, Edwin, what about your background?
Hey, everyone. How's it going? My name is Edwin Duodu. I am a Rutgers University student. I'm a senior, actually, since my last year, majoring in journalism and minoring in video production. I also do write for Nuts and Bolts Sports, and I also love giving my hot takes as well, too. So look out for that.
We all have schools in March Madness. I'm a Duck alum, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, so you love your Ducks.
That's awesome. Cool. Wow, we're like kind of famous.
In a way.
Okay. Well, I guess we could just roll off with first I think it was the major headline for everyone, the Oral Roberts upset. I mean, when you guys were watching that game, like Ty, what were you thinking during the first and second round? Like, was it even possible for them to do what they did?
I mean, it's always exciting to see a lower seed win or a higher seed, I just say win. I was, excuse my language, pissed. That was my bracket. It was going down the drain. I had Ohio State going at least to the Elite Eight in all of my brackets. So that stunk. But it's always nice to see a school that nobody really knows of come out and win 2 big tournament games against 2 very good teams. I mean, Ohio State in a lot of people's brackets was a Final Four contender, and the fact that Oral Roberts was able to outlast them in overtime is crazy. And I got to give a shout out to Kevin Abinor. I mean, 30-11, that's baller status right there. You can't get any better than that in your first ever appearance in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was upset. I'm not going to lie. Ohio State was probably everyone's choice. In what world were you choosing Oral Roberts, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Edwin? Did this bust your bracket?
I was so disappointed, and seriously, because this was my first bracket for March Madness. I've never really been the one to participate in March Madness brackets or whatever, but this year I gave it a shot, and I was immediately devastated because Oral Roberts did not see them coming. But it's okay because, as Ty said, I do root for the underdogs. I've been rooting for them the whole tournament, even though I chose the favorites in pretty much each round. But Oral Roberts, for me, doing so good. They're really hot, and I'm looking for them to give a good matchup for this upcoming matchup against who did they play actually? Arkansas. But I think this is the night where, or at least tomorrow, it'll be the night where it ends seriously. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my follow-up question. Does this Cinderella story end for Oral Roberts? I'm going to say yes, just based off of the performance from Arkansas, but I'm definitely interested in what you guys think. Ty?
I'll give the hot take, and I'm going to say no. I think they could take Arkansas the entire game, and I think they can come out on top. I mean, this hasn't been the Arkansas from the regular season that was really impressive, obviously, with Moses Moody. They had trouble in the first round versus Colgate, again, a lower mid-major team, and they didn't get going until about 10 minutes left in the second half. So I think if Oral Roberts could just come out of the game strong, play their style of basketball, get Abinor the ball, I mean, he's going to be the key for both teams, honestly, if Arkansas can stop him. And then if he can score the ball for Oral Roberts, then honestly, they can keep going. They can go all the way to the Final Four if they just like I said before, I said it to Edwin, the momentum is in their favor. And sometimes that's all you really need to win a basketball game or any sort of sports game at all is the momentum. So I could see Oral Roberts not cruising past Arkansas, but they're going to give them a run for their money for sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, they've come this far and played, very hard, as you've said before. So, Edwin, are we on the same side? Do we think tomorrow is the last day for Oral Roberts?
Yeah, we're definitely on the same side. Ty, I'm sorry because it's not happening. Seriously, it's not. I mean, it will be a good game. I will say that because Arkansas scares me a little bit with how they play defense on the perimeter. I mean, giving up 10 or more threes pretty much 9 times this whole season, that's not really a good stat to keep. That's not a really good recipe for winning. But if Oral Roberts finds a way to make their threes, they should be in contention for winning the game. But I just think that Arkansas is a little bit too much for them at this point. And Oral Roberts, for me, I know that you said momentum is on their side, and that's been the case for many teams in this postseason, but I just don't think it's going to happen for Oral Roberts. Like, I really think that tomorrow will be the night that it pretty much ends for them. But it was a good run, though. It was a good run for Oral Roberts. I'm still choosing with the big dog Arkansas to go through.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think the same. Arkansas is just ranked a little bit better based on their performances, and I don't even think Oral Roberts knew that they were going to make it. Oh, which Joe literally said my exact words. Not even Oral Roberts saw this coming. So just for them to make it this far and be a part of this bubble experience, I think they've done a great job. But let's talk about a conference that people haven't really highlighted, and it is my conference, the Pac-12 conference. The fact that there are 4 teams in the Pac-12 in the Sweet 16, I think is remarkable, right? I don't think a lot of people looked at the Pac-12 as like this tough contender. I definitely always feel like they're smaller compared to the Big Ten and anyone else, like any other team across the nation. So I'm wondering, for the Oregon-USC matchup, what are you guys thinking? Because I think Edwin had said it before. This is like a rebuttal from last year. Oregon got swallowed by USC. So I'm wondering what your guys' predictions are. Edwin?
Yeah, this is going to be a revenge game for Oregon. I am actually choosing them to win this matchup. I think it's going to be a little bit tough. I mean, last year they lost 72-58. It's a pretty bad loss to USC. And this year it will be kind of a tougher matchup because Oregon doesn't really have the paint presence as they did in the past because of the injuries that they had throughout the season. And Evan Mobley, 7 foot tall for USC, dropped 30 points last game. That's a really stat to look out for. He could have a field day or a field court at least, for that matter, against Oregon. Oregon, for me, have to do better on the perimeter and definitely on the inside. But to their credit, they have players who are scoring in double digits. So they're more of a team, in my opinion, than USC, at least this year. Probably the only difference will be the paint presence. But if they find a way to keep Evan Mobley in check, then they'll definitely go through, for my opinion. So revenge game is on for the Ducks.
Oh, so you're rooting for the Ducks?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. You're in my book. Okay, Ty, you better give me the same answer.
Why would I do that? No, I'm going against the Ducks. I mean, if in all honesty, they just caught USC at the wrong time in the bracket. I mean, USC is playing some of their best basketball in the year. Like you said, Evan Mobley and his brother, they're 2 beasts, both stretch 5s, stretch 4s. Evan Mobley a top 5 pick probably in the NBA draft. So, and then I got to give a shout out to the Connecticut native, actually from my hometown, Taj Edey. As long as he controls the game, control the tempo for both sides, have good point guard play, I don't think the Ducks coming close to stopping, basically the Twin Towers that USC has. But in order to do that, USC needs to play defense, and obviously Chris Durrett is the key player for Oregon. He's been it all year. But as long as I feel like as USC can contain him and the Mobley Blares have a good game, I don't think it's close.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think people forget that Oregon was definitely injured for a good portion of the season, and now a lot of the players have come back healthy, and that just puts you in a rhythm. And not having to play the first round, you got 10 days of rest. I'm not saying that should be a selling point, but at that point you're coming in like guns. This is only game 2, right? And for everyone else is game 3. So that's just my personal opinion. But I'm also, let's roll into the next Pac-12, UCLA and Alabama, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. Ty, what's your prediction?
Okay, so I said it before the tournament for multiple different sources, multiple different outlets. Alabama was my dark horse to win the team. I mean, they won the SEC tournament. They have a third-team AP All-American in Herbert Jones. They have the SEC Coach of the Year in Nate Oates, and they have the player of the tournament in what's it called? What's his name? Queerly. So I don't. They're stacked. Javon Queerly. I mean, who would have thought coming out of freaking Nova and now he's balling at Alabama? But this is basically Alabama's game to lose, in my opinion. I think they shouldn't have an issue with this, but obviously it's going to be a tough game, no matter what happens. So, but I'd be shocked if Alabama loses, in all honesty.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think UCLA has played smarter, but I don't know if this will be their carry to the Elite Eight game. What about you, Edwin? Are we all unanimously choosing Alabama?
Yeah, definitely. Alabama, definitely the embodiment of a 3-and-D type of team. Shot 48% against Maryland in the last game, and that was when they got hot. Oh my goodness. So when this team gets hot, it's pretty much unstoppable for them to lose the game. And I do think that UCLA does have a chance because they do make a good amount of their threes, and they do play good defense as well too. But Alabama, I know Ty said that he has them as a dark horse for winning the whole thing. I think that their way of play style is sustainable for only so long. Like, I think that they'll get through UCLA just because of how good of a three-point team they have and because they have three guards averaging double digits. But, I mean, when it gets to like later stages, the Elite Eight possibly, I think that's probably where they'll find that it'll be difficult to score points because teams will start cracking down the perimeter. But for right now, I am choosing Alabama to get past UCLA, definitely.
Yeah, it's like kind of mean to say, but I think UCLA is the fourth in this Pac-12 rating in the other teams. I mean, but what about Oregon State? They won the Pac-12 first time ever in their career. They are ranked 12th, and now they're coming out to play against, remind me.
Loyola
Chicago.
Yeah. So definitely their own version of a Cinderella story since they've come from, I feel like their teams are never truly that bad. I've always felt like Oregon State was a huge competition for Oregon. Maybe that's just because we're literally rivals. But how do you see this game playing out?
For me personally, I give it one thing, and that's Loyola Chicago has the #1 defense in KenPom. I mean, defense is going to be key for this team. That's their vocal point. Oregon State, I didn't see them, getting this far at all. Shout out to Ethan Thompson for leading that team with 15 points a game. But the key for them, too, is defense. I mean, they've held their opponents to 63 points per game in their past 2 tournament games. But at the end of the day, when KenPom says you have a #1 defense, KenPom usually isn't wrong. So I'm definitely going with Loyola Chicago. And, I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah. I think Oregon State is playing more man defense. I think that's what's been helping them the most. So I feel like the pressure is going to be on literally Chicago to outperform that man-to-man coverage. And I mean, I'm not really predicting them to win also, but that's just because I don't want them to win. But Edwin, what about you?
I actually agree. I'm going. So not sure for me. It's going to be a defensive matchup, Loyola and definitely Oregon State. It's tough for me to really pick Loyola, even though they've played so well the past couple of games. But Oregon State is really hot right now. I mean, the past 5 games, I believe they scored over 70 points, or at least the past 5 out of 5 or 7 games, they scored 70 points. So that's a good stat. And on top of that, they play man-to-man defense, like you just said. So that defense. And then you add the fact that they're hot on offense as well, too. It'll be a tough matchup for Loyola to get past. And I want to say that they find a way to squeeze through Oregon State. But right now, I'm going to get the bold take here. I'm going to say Oregon State actually upsets Loyola in this one.
Ooh, spicy. Okay.
You're not taking into the key factor, man. You forgot about Sister Jean.
Yeah.
That's all they need.
You're right. Sister Jean, I mean, her magic only worked for so long, like it's a nice run, but
last time it was the Final Four.
Yeah. She's shooting the right shots, but also I do think there's a point where the dust has to disappear, right, for these Cinderella teams. I'm just going to keep using that phrase because I feel like that's the most commonly used thing for March Madness. So I think it's time for us to cover two teams that are in the top 5. We've got Florida State and Michigan, and I'm genuinely interested in how this is going to go down. I think it's going to be one of the more exciting games because these two teams are ranked so high, and I have Michigan in my Final Four, and I just think things are going to be better offensively. So I want to know, how's everybody thinking about that matchup, and who are you predicting to win? Edwin?
Florida State all the way for this one. And I say this because, which again, even though they found a way to, offset the injuries that they had in the past, I just think that Florida State is going to be too much for them. Like, the whole team is athletic for me. Every player above 6'5", that's a great thing to have. Obviously, height, you can't teach height, right? But you can't teach athletic ability either, And I think that Florida State, they have so much presence inside and out that it'll be too much for Michigan. And at this point, Michigan, for me, they've had matchups in the past where they've been able to get through because of their dominance and because of the opposition that they were facing before. But I feel like this time around, it'll be a little bit different because Florida State can match up with them and, with that athletic ability that they have all around the team. It'll be quite tough for Michigan to find a way to generate offense for me. So I'm going to get the upset here. I'm going to pick the Seminoles to actually go through to the Elite Eight.
I feel like Ty's just going to pick the opposite team.
Is there any other way? No, I am going to go with the Wolverines, but I will say this. After Michigan lost to Illinois, there was definitely some concern. I've been saying it since the beginning of the year. They lack a dynamic player. Obviously, Livers was kind of that dynamic player, but not really. So I think that's going to affect them. But I will say this. They've had a great tournament. I didn't see them beating LSU in the second round. 84 points per game in their first two tournament games. That's pretty damn good for a Michigan team without a dynamic player. So I think the way they win is, they have to score the basketball. I think getting it inside to Dickinson is going to be key. Even though Florida State is very consistent with like their size across the board and their starting 5, when you have a 7-foot center, it's not easy to guard when your tallest player is arguably 6'9". So with that being said, the way FSU stay in the game is defensively. You can't let them score 84 points. You're not going to be able to keep up. And for them to play through their guards, I mean, if you take Dickinson out of the game, that's, again, another vocal point of the Michigan offense. So I think I'm going to go with Michigan, but I wouldn't count out FSU at all.
Yeah, I think this will be one of those like buzzer beater shots, like somebody drives down the basket, gets a layup or hits some crazy 3 and everybody's throwing confetti in the air. I feel like this will be a very close game. So I've loved everyone's takes, and I didn't want to not talk about this team because I have them as my winner. So we've got to talk about the Creighton-Gonzaga matchup. Have you guys chosen Gonzaga as your final winners? Okay, so we're all in the same bracket. Do you think this is the end for Creighton? I mean, I just don't see Gonzaga losing at all at any point since there's so much pressure on the team and so their name is everywhere. What are you guys thinking?
I know.
I'll hit you, Ty, first.
Oh, sorry. Watching Creighton play throughout the season, I haven't been impressed. They beat my school 3 times on 3 separate occasions. It's tough. But, they had the biggest preseason player of the year in Marcus Zagorowski, and he wasn't all that great. I mean, he got first-team honors, but it was by a slim margin. They're very undersized. Kristen Bishop is really just a pick-and-roll guard that likes to go up for alley-oop, or pick-and-roll forward that likes alley-oop. It's really all he has in the game. Not a good free-throw shooting team at all whatsoever. And down the stretch, even their three-point percentage has dropped. I mean, you only could say so much about Gonzaga. They're they probably are the best team in college basketball right now, and they have more than enough potential to reach that 32-0 season record, which is going to be insane if they do. And when you have a player like Jalen Suggs that's just so dynamic as a freshman, there's no way the guards from Creighton are going to be able to hang.
Yeah, true. What about you, Edwin?
Yeah, I actually agree. Nothing really excites me about Creighton. I mean, Ty just mentioned that they're not really a good 3-point shooting team, even though they have made at least almost 10 threes per game this season, I believe. So they have to find a way to make Gonzaga work on the perimeter, and that means making their threes, which are not really good at doing so far this post-tournament. So I'm not really too excited about that. And as Ty mentioned before, they're undersized. Christian Bishop, 6'7", not good enough. Drew Tim, on the other hand, that guy, he has to eat. I mean, seriously, like one of the best big men in the country so far, probably the best big man in the country so far, if you want to be technical about things. And he dropped, I believe, 30+ points in the last matchup. So look for him to have a dominant performance. There's no way I see Creighton getting past Gonzaga in this unless they find a way to make their threes and get to the line. But they're also a bad free throw shooting team as it is. So I don't really like. There's no way for Creighton, in my opinion. Gonzaga should have like easy cakewalk for this one.
Yeah, I feel like the first and second rounds, they're exciting. They're filled with all these crazy games. But now we're at the time where the teams that have worked through their season, since we had all these like half seasons happening, they're going to show up and show out. And Gonzaga's not going to give up this spot. They've been number one for a reason. They're the winners of all of our brackets for a reason. And you guys have perfectly explained why they're going to win tomorrow. So I'm wondering, how's everybody's bracket doing? And, Edwin, you said this was the first time you've done a bracket. It's mine as well. So how did it start out, and how are you looking to win, for the rest of the games?
So it actually started off pretty poor, if I'm being honest. Like, seriously, I thought that when I saw how badly I was doing, I was like, why did I even try this year? It was just so terrible. I think I got like around half of the first 64. I probably got like half of that right. But surprisingly so, I've been able to have a good win streak with my predictions. And so far, I think I'm third in my league this season. So that's actually pretty good from my point of standard view, because, listen, the way it started off, it was not looking good. But so far, so good, if I'm being honest. I think I have a chance to definitely win the group, but we'll see how things go. What
about you, Ty? Are your final four teams still in the running or what?
So in my bracket, I had Gonzaga winning, so they're obviously still in it. But first, congratulations, guys, for getting involved in March Madness. It doesn't get any easier from here. It becomes more stressful. This year's bracket is a lot different from my last year's bracket. I mean, I made it all the way to the round of 32, no games wrong. And like I said before, Ohio State busted my bracket in one of the opening moments of the tournament bracket. So it's been tough, but I have picked it up. I got 95% right now, which is solid. And I think I might be third as well in my group. So we'll see what happens the rest of the tournament. But I'm all like lucked out. I hope Alabama wins. It's another team I support. But once UConn went down, I was kind of just like, when is it gonna end?
Yeah, it's hard to watch when your school's out. It's kind of like I have no purpose anymore. Wait, did you say last year you had all 32 correct?
I got through the first round of 64 correct.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, Ty's going to have a whole March Madness column next year. Keep an eye out. Joe said that his bracket is trash. I'm genuinely interested. Can you tell us, Joe, post a snippet so we can blow it up on the screen here? Right now, I'm actually ranked 11, and I think it's only because I have my Final Four still in. But I picked too many of my homies' teams. I picked UC Santa Barbara. I picked San Diego State. But I also counted it off of what last year looked like, and that San Diego State was looking kind of, it's too tough to know these things are going to happen that way.
Yeah.
Okay, last question for everyone. I think Ty already touched on this, but who is your dark horse team to reach the Elite Eight? Edwin.
So I'm going to go with UCLA. Because I mentioned this before, and I'll say it again, I don't think – so Alabama's style of play is actually sustainable for so long. The 3-and-D type of play. Great three-point shooting team. So far, a solid defensive team as well, too. But UCLA does the exact same thing. Maybe not at a higher percentage, but they have a chance. And because they are hot right now, because no one really give them a chance, because they are the underdogs, and they have done so well throughout the whole tournament, especially Johnny Juzang, I believe, and his performances in the past, I really think that they have a good shot against Alabama if they find a way to neutralize the perimeter and find ways to actually be effective on offense. So I'm looking at it right now. I'm seeing Alabama. Maybe they might get past UCLA, but I don't count UCLA out of this matchup. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually get through.
Wow, literally earlier I was against you. I said the complete opposite of everything you just said, and I said UCLA can't hang. But that's good to know. Ty, I can't remember, but just remind everyone who you said your dark horse team was.
Before I get into that, Edwin, you're crazy, my guy. There's no possible way it happens.
I was like, did we not have this conversation earlier?
It doesn't happen. UCLA can't hang with the names on Alabama roster.
Mhm.
Nate Oates was the coach of the year for a reason. The SEC arguably is a harder conference right now than the Pac-12.
Really?
But I will say this: shout out to the Pac-12 for replacing the Big Ten, who underperformed the freaking NCAA tournament.
Really underperformed.
But as far as my dark horse goes, Alabama is winning it all. But I think Syracuse upsets Houston in the next round. Shout out to Boeheim for getting his 26 Sweet 16 appearance. You know, that puts him up with some of the most elite names in college basketball history. But I think Buddy Boeheim and Alan Griffin are just going to be key going down the stretch for Syracuse. Houston, Quentin Grimes obviously is their go-to guy, but I think it just comes down to competition throughout the year. Obviously, this year for the ACC, it was a step back, but I will still argue and say that this weaker version of the ACC was better than the AAC because obviously Wichita State got in barely through a playing game, but Houston doesn't play in a good conference, and I think that's going to come back to bite them.
Huh. I know we didn't talk about that game, but I think it's because I put Houston in the Final Four. But I do think that's a hot take. Okay, my dark horse team. I picked my own team. It's really biased, but I do think, like I mentioned earlier, the team came back healthy. The way they performed against Iowa was like, I genuinely didn't think they were going to beat them. I picked them to only win the first round. And so to see the way that they all played and the shooting around the perimeter improved, like the defense was great, you know, right off the halftime, they were the first team to score 8 points. You know, they played very consistent and cohesively. But I'm going to honestly throw up saying this, but I'm picking Oregon State as my dark horse team because I just think the way they're carrying everything and, you know, they won the Pac-12 championship. This team is like hungry just as the Oregon Ducks are hungry. So either Oregon team, I'm really predicting to do well and move on to the Elite Eight. And then I don't think they battle each other, but I would not want to watch the Pac-12 remake all over again. So.
I don't disagree with that. I do give it a shot for both Oregon teams. So
you don't have to, you know. You don't like them.
No, I agree. I'm with you on this one.
Cool. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys talking with me. I would love to have another Elite Eight show, but the games end this weekend and kick off on Monday. So I don't know if we'll have time to do that. If we do, be sure you're subscribed to Nuts and Bolts Sports on all social platforms. We'll have all the marketing posted there. Thank you guys for joining me. This has been super fun, and I'm excited to see which one of the three of us was actually correct, and I hope we kill it in our brackets for the rest of the games.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a great day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.